If you hate my content, why are you here? Do you like it? Maybe they secretly like it. Like maybe people who hate talking about how to act like a lady watch the content because they actually secretly want to know how to be a lady. Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Caitlin and I run the blog called Mrs. Midwest. And this is my dog Harley. If you are watching this Q&A, you're probably already familiar with my channel. She seems pretty insistent on hanging out with us today, but you gotta lay down. Okay. So today I'm just going to be answering a bunch of questions that you guys left for me on my latest Instagram post. I crowdsourced a bunch of questions. We're going to go through as many as possible. Just hang out. Honestly, what more do we have to do during quarantine? So I hope you find this interesting. So the first question, the dog is over there now. I'm not feeling so distracted, but a lot of you have been asking, if I'm in lockdown, if I'm in quarantine, how me and my husband are handling this, is he still working, etc. Great question. Yes, he is still working. He is a law enforcement officer. We still need people to protect our communities. We need people to answer the calls. There's still a lot of domestic violence going on. There's still drunk drivers. There's still people speeding. He has to deal with that. So he is going into work. They have a little bit of different orders right now, but I am staying home as much as possible. I am not in contact with anybody. And at this point, I kind of feel like, if he gets it, I might get it. So I've really basically cut off contact with everybody else in case he somehow does manage to pass it to me. And yeah, I am kind of freaked out about that. I am kind of nervous, but I don't want to leave him. If he did get sick, I would want to be there for him. And so it's kind of a tricky situation right now. I wish we could just be in total quarantine. And I know it's really hard to be in total quarantine, but if you're home and your man is home and you guys are totally just working from home, it might really feel kind of awful. But honestly, right now I'm kind of jealous of you guys because I wish that he didn't have to go into work. So we're doing well in the sense that he's not losing his job. I know a lot of people, their husbands, their job is up in the air right now, and I'm really grateful for that. But the kind of downside of that is that he still has to work and serve and protect. That's kind of where we're at. All right, second question, a lot lighter. Good books to read. I am just going to refer back to the classics. You can get these for free. You can read classic novels for free. I would always recommend Pride and Prejudice, Sense and Sensibility, Persuasion, just Jane Austen novels in general. They will elevate your vocabulary. And they can be a little bit difficult to wrap your head around the phrasing and vocabulary at first, but just Google is your friend and you will kind of get into the swing of things as you read them. Highly recommend. Then as always, I always recommend Maeve Binchy. She writes an ensemble cast novels that take place in Dublin, Ireland, and they are just hilarious and sweet, and there's emotion in them. They're just so wonderful. I'll leave a couple links below for that. And then my friend Elena, she runs the Darling Academy over on Instagram, and she has done a lot of spots on national television lately, defending traditionalism, homemaking, a lot of the same stuff I talk about. She's written a few books. She sent them to me in the mail. I'm currently reading them. There's one on being a lady, and then there's one on etiquette. You guys might find that interesting. I will leave a link below for that as well. And then there's also the book I recommended a long time ago, Sex Matters. It's kind of about feminism and traditionalism and traditional gender roles, and it's really fascinating. I've gotten great feedback from some of y'all who have read it, so I'll leave that linked below as well. All right, next question, my favorite fairy tale. I love talking about Disney princesses, but surprisingly enough, growing up, I did not care for those movies. Other than Little Mermaid was pretty cool, but mostly I loved the off-brand movies that I don't even know if they were Disney, but I loved Road to El Dorado, Atlantis, Treasure Planet, Sinbad, Anastasia. I just loved adventure movies. And even now I prefer adventure movies, but if I had to pick a fairy tale, straight up fairy tale, it would probably be Cinderella. I just love how mentally steadfast she is. It is truly goals. So the next question, how did I create such discipline in my life? Fantastic question. I'm not naturally a disciplined person. And I would say there's a few different ways. The first one would definitely be by surrounding myself with disciplined people and holding myself to their standards. So my husband is very naturally disciplined. And my mother was very disciplined. That was helpful growing up. But then on top of that, I really do feel that discipline is a worthwhile spiritual pursuit, even from a place of, morality and my faith. I don't have a hard time pursuing something if it's tied somehow into a spiritual practice, because spirituality, my Christian religion, my faith, that is of utmost importance to me. So if I can tie something into that, it's going to stick a lot more. But in an even more practical sense, I did it by creating a lot of lists, making things really fun for myself. So I wouldn't just, try to exercise. I'd make it fun for me. I would make it tailored to my personality. And I kind of molded all those together, and it created enough, framework for me to pursue discipline. Next question, when will we have children? If it were up to us, I would be holding a baby as I speak to you right now in this Q&A. But the thing about having children is that it's often not up to you as a couple, the timing, it's up to the Lord. Next question, podcasts I listen to. I have made an entire massive blog post about this recently. I'll link it below. The next question asked, how was my transition to life in America? If you've watched my other Q&As, you know I was born in the United States, lived here till I was 3 months old, and then my family immigrated back to my dad's hometown in Canada. And the more I talk about Canada, the more my Canadian accent might return. My mom is American, and so growing up, I was really familiar with American culture. I would spend a lot of my summers here with my American cousins, and I just really loved American culture, specifically West Michigan. So it wasn't a difficult transition, but it was also made easier by the fact that I grew up in a Dutch community, and it was very Christian Reformed Dutch community, and the community I moved to in the States is also very Dutch, very Christian Reformed roots, and so it's not that big of a culture shift, but I will say, one thing that it took me a while to get used to in the States is that there are so many billboards and advertisements everywhere. You just don't have that in Canada. In Canada, I don't know if we're not allowed to advertise like that, but you don't have this billboard all over the highway. And I kind of hate it. I think it ruins the scenery. So, that's American advertising capitalism at work. All right, the next question. Someone asked, how do I maintain calm and positive energy? This is a fantastic question. And again, it relates back to my religion, my spirituality. I again feel that having that calm, peaceful center is godly. It's something for Christians to pursue. It's something we should want to pursue, to step away from that chaotic, self-centered kind of state of mind into that calm, peaceful state of mind, so that we can love others, we can bless others, and we can ultimately worship the Lord through obedience to Him. And so because of that, that's a huge motivator. If you're part of a religion, if you have a religious or a spiritual purpose to do something, for me, it just elevates it. It makes it way more of a priority. And so the way I combat that is, of course, through my faith, reading scripture, reminding myself that I am not the center of the universe, reflecting on the character of God, trying to serve others. I think anytime we can take ourselves out from just that hyper focus on our own lives and serve others, that's when we can often get out of that chaotic mindset. On top of that, gratitude. I've talked about this so many times. I think gratitude is the key to feeling, joy in life. Someone asked me tips for keeping your house beautiful, elevated house decorating tips. I have a couple pieces of advice for this. My first one would be to keep it clean. It's one of the simplest ways you can make something look really nice. And if you need cleaning inspiration, I love watching Japanese and Korean homemaking vlogs, because those ladies are so clean and so hygienic, and they will just inspire you. But then also kind of separate what in your house is aesthetic and what is practical. And anything practical that doesn't look nice, try to find it a home, a concealed home. And that's kind of the main thing I do. You look around my living room even, I don't have books out, I don't have magazines laying everywhere. I make sure all the cups and bowls and all of that are tucked away in the dishwasher as soon as possible, just keeping things clean and not having, unaesthetic things laying around. Like, I know that sounds kind of weird. And then finally, paying attention to the details. Use throw pillows, have different textures in the room and colors, and make sure the colors don't clash. And if you're really struggling with home design, we all have a girlfriend who loves home design, and maybe we respect her home design. Invite her over, ask her for some tips, because as a person who is dying to help some of the people I know with their decorating, I can promise you that your friend would love to come over and help you decorate. Next question, what do I do to turn my mood around? Now, this is fantastic because, again, I am a kind of mercurial person. Especially when I was a teenager, I would just wake up and be like doom and gloom and just don't talk to me, like melodramatic person. And what kind of took me out of that was realizing how self-centered that behavior was. And I understand sometimes we are grieving in life, sometimes we're going through things, but what I'm talking about wasn't that. It was just, I'm in a bad mood and I want attention. And yeah, the way I overcame that was by realizing how selfish that was, and by being humbled and reminding myself that other people in this world are trying to live and enjoy life, and I shouldn't ruin that for them. So I would also say, dig through to the root of your problem. What is the root of your problem? Do you kind of need more attention or affection from your loved ones? Are you feeling kind of lonely? Are you feeling anxious or scared about something in your life? Are you avoiding problems or conflict that you have to deal with? There's usually an underlying issue. But then if none of that works, if it's none of that thing, it's just a bad overlying feeling. I like to go on long walks. It really clears my head. The exercise helps. I give myself a pep talk, or I just kind of shift gears. Watch something funny online, listen to a funny podcast, just trying to get myself laughing. Anything to kind of like snap out of that mindset. All right, the next question, tips for a lasting relationship with the Lord. So a lot of you wanted to know my testimony, and I don't know if I'm going to share it, but basically I've been a Christian for a long time. I gave my life to the Lord seriously when I was 12, 11, and I went right to work trying to evangelize people in my life. I have always just been very big on sharing my faith and just embracing my faith wholeheartedly. It's always been a part of my life. So the way I think I've made it long lasting is by just fully embracing it as my identity, learning as much as possible about the Bible, constantly trying to grow, constantly trying to learn, and not just, being like, well, I go to church and I read one verse a day and I listen to Hillsong, so check the box, I'm a Christian, I don't approach it that way, but I've had to learn that that's not the way to approach it. And so what I do is just try to take it as seriously as possible, see how faith affects every part of my life, the way I dress, the way I speak to people, what kind of videos I make, what I talk about, what I think about, what I watch, what I eat, everything. I don't think that Christ, Jesus, we should treat him like just this buddy, and God isn't just a Santa in the sky to give us whatever we want, that's God we're talking about, like God, creator of the universe, holy, righteous, something that we can't even fathom. It's incredibly serious to be in relationship with God, and he has incredibly, high standards. He wants us to step away from sin, and it's so hard to do, and we can only do that by his grace and through his forgiveness because of Jesus' death on the cross, but it's so serious. And I think one of the issues with the modern church, especially aimed at women, is they like to address the problem with women of like, feeling insecure about your looks or feeling afraid, when really I think what we need to address as women is sin. Just like men, sin. People sin, and it separates us from God. So if you want to have a close relationship with God, you're going to have to identify your sin. See where you are failing, and see how you can further give your life over to him daily to walk in obedience. And it's not easy. And that's why I have created such discipline in my life, as I spoke about earlier, because I realized that my natural tendency to be greedy or gluttonous or lazy was actually a sin. And so I would also say that, again, so the more you completely involve yourself with God, the more you take it on as your whole identity, the stronger that relationship is going to be. But also just never stop learning. Tips for making your own fashion style. That was the next question. Honestly, I feel like the best thing you can do is identify what you really like on other people. And then number 2, identify what looks really good on you, and just put your blinders on and pursue that style and ignore the trends, ignore everything else. Just literally pursue whatever looks so good on you and what you like to look at. But when you can kind of converge those 2 things together, your style is going to be unique to you as a person because it's going to look specific for your body type. And then it's also going to be really unique because it's your personal taste. Someone asked me my favorite songs and music. I have a bunch of this on my Spotify playlist linked below, but I would say right now I'm really into like whimsical forest music and instrumental music, if that is a genre. I will leave the album I'm listening to recently below as well. Just piano music. I actually grew up playing piano, taking lessons. I did the Royal Conservatory of Canada, and so I really love piano. I love the sound of it. I want to get a piano in our house eventually, but I really love piano music. This next question, someone asked me if I would ever do a closet tour or a lookbook, and honestly, I want to, but I don't watch that kind of content on YouTube, so I'm not really sure what the purpose is. I don't have a lot of pieces that I can just say, oh, like linked here, go buy this for my lookbook, because so many of my clothes are thrifted. So I don't even know if like that would be a helpful lookbook, or if lookbooks are just an inspiration, or you guys just want to see me like float in a field in a dress, because I will do that, but I just don't know if that's what you want to see. So educate me about lookbooks, please. Okay, someone asked about cleaning advice and what my cleaning routine is. So I clean my kitchen every single day. I pick up my bathroom every single day. I just do general house pick up every single day. But actual cleaning, I do my bathroom once a week. I do laundry every 3 days, every 2 days, and I vacuum every, again, 2 or 3 days, because we have that creature living with us. But I clean whenever I see a mess, unless it's my rest day, or I'm just sick, or I'm just over it, you know. But if not, I'll clean when I see a mess. So I pass a table, I notice it's really dusty, I'll just pause and dust it. So I'm kind of a clean as you go person, but I'm also, you know, every single day I want the whole house to be clean. I did grow up in an extremely clean house. The Dutch culture especially is very clean. That is the culture I grew up in. Everyone's houses basically were clean. It's just kind of a thing. And so it's really normal for me to just have a very clean house. This next question kind of goes with that. Someone asked me, how did my Dutch ancestry impact my childhood, how I was raised? And I would say, you know, cleanliness, but frugality. I don't know if you've heard kind of like the idea of going Dutch on something on a date means splitting the bill in half. Going Dutch basically means like kind of being cheap. And that's kind of the culture I grew up in. A lot of people had money. Some people had really serious amounts of money, but you kind of couldn't tell because frugality was so important growing up. And again, I think that's a very Dutch thing. And on top of that, we also had very deep roots in the Christian Reformed Church with Calvinism. So religion was a huge thing. And then also just traditionalism. So many of my friends had stay-at-home moms. My family was actually a little different than everybody because my mom did work when I was a small child until I was in middle school. And so, yeah, you know, that really huge emphasis on traditionalism. I went to Christian schooling growing up. There was like there wasn't even a thought of sending, you know, us to public school. And so, yeah, that very community oriented, very Christian oriented, and just focus on family as well, and smaller ways to enjoy family. So instead of going on like crazy vacations growing up, even though we probably could have, we would go to family reunions every year. We would spend so much time with family. And I think every other year we would have this one huge family reunion with all my second and third cousins. And there was like over 200 people there who were all my cousins. And so, yeah, just like family. And I don't know if maybe that's something of just families who immigrated more recently. but we were all very close, and I was related to a lot of people I grew up with, and I think it just made it really special because it gave me a different mindset. It was more conservative, more traditional, very focused on religion, very focused on family, and but not in the way you kind of see with like Southern Baptist culture in America. It was very different. It was profoundly Dutch because of our background. And I would also say eating at the table, the idea of eating dinner with your family in front of the TV was like unheard of in Dutch communities. Like that was a total no-no. Even just watching a lot of TV in general wasn't encouraged. We were encouraged to play with toys, to go outside, to work on hobbies, or to do chores and help mom and dad. And so yeah, kind of just that old world kind of approach to life where you have religion, family, hard work, and that simple way of life. And I'm sure you guys can all see that I'm still kind of like that, and that's kind of what my channel is about. So simple living. Someone asked me, this is a great question, what are some rarely taught life skills that I think are really important? And I would say number one would be sewing. I think more people need to know how to sew. I've been working on some masks right now for PPE for hospitals when they get a shortage in my area. And just, I wish that everyone my age knew how to sew like in the olden days. Like I wish we all had a sewing machine. It's great for tailoring your clothes. It's great for longevity. I think more people need to know how to sew, also need to know how to cook, make bread, those really essential life skills, survival life skills. But then I would also say things like posture, how to dress for your body type, your coloring, things like that. A lot of the stuff I try to teach on my channel, that I think is a really important life skill because looking your best can just elevate your confidence. It can get you farther in life. And then finally, I think how to charm people and how to, have great social interactions with strangers. That's a skill that a lot of people aren't taught. So I really think that, people should be taught how to be charming, how they did in the olden days, with charm school and all of that. I think it's actually a really important life skill. So the next question is, how do we deal with the disappointment that other people have at our life choices? How do we deal with loved ones who are disappointed when we become traditional or homemakers, et cetera, et cetera? And my answer to this is we don't deal with it. We don't. It's not your problem. And I kind of had to learn this the hard way, but you can't change anyone's mind. And it's a waste of time to change their mind. And all you can do is live your life and be happy. And I would also say, it's weird to go around being like, oh, I'm having a great day, but I'm so disappointed that my sister Sarah is gonna be going to grad school because I wanted her to do this with her life and it really makes me sad. Like, what? Like, excusez-moi? Like, what? Why do people think that they can tell other people how to live their life? I just think it's so weird. I feel like that's sounds kind of harsh because we want people to be happy, but at the end of the day, we're talking about your life. And this is a huge part of your life. Staying home or not staying home is going to affect everything in your life. And if you make those decisions based on other people, I kind of feel like you're selling out because it's not about those other people. It's about your choice. The one person who does need to be on the same page as you is your man. And if he doesn't want you to stay home, I think that you shouldn't. I really feel like you need to come to an agreement on that on your own time. But ultimately, people who are disappointed, I know it's hard, but you're just gonna have to let it go. And I know we want everyone to love us. We want everyone to be supportive of us, but you kind of do have to have a thicker skin about this. And remember, it's not about you. Most people have a lot of internalized misogyny, where they want women to behave like men in order to think that they've achieved something. A lot of women don't support other women. A lot of people also, just in general have weird expectations for other people, and they also feel like they know what's best and what's going to make you happy. I think people forget that staying home or not staying home isn't like a permanent thing, and you can do things on a trial basis. And so, yeah, just don't deal with it. It's their problem. If they're going to let their life be ruined by what you're doing, like, that kind of sucks for them. And it's also weirdly invasive when people think that they can be upset about your life choices if it doesn't directly affect them. Next question, how do my husband and I resolve conflict? So first of all, don't approach things when I'm in a hyper emotional state, even if that means leaving the room, going for a walk, whatever. I just have to get calmed down, and I focus on the rationality of the situation. I use a lot of I statements. I explain where I'm coming from, and then at the end of the day, I remember I didn't marry an evil person. I don't have advice if you're, fighting with someone who lies, who gaslights you, who is just generally toxic. Those kind of people, you can't work with them. But my husband's a great person, and we always just remind each other that our end goal is to be a team. Don't go into an argument thinking, my goal is to win this argument, to prove my point. So you just have to remember your end goal at the end of the day. It's not to win the argument. It's not to be, bringing up stuff from the past. It's to hug at the end and to, agree with each other. And just remember that it's important to try to see where the other person's coming from and not just to assume they're trying to hurt you. And remember to just stay humble, because we're not perfect and we're going to be wrong sometimes. So yeah, that's kind of how we resolve it. But we also, I want to say, we talk for as long as it takes to sort it out. Someone asked if I have a bucket list, and if I do, what is on it. And actually, I don't have a bucket list. I kind of feel like I achieved everything I wanted to. I wanted to get married, I wanted to have a home, and I wanted to write or impact women in some way. And I feel like I've accomplished all of that. So at this point, I kind of feel like everything else is just bonus, because I've also experienced loss in my life, things that I thought would be part of my life forever that are not. And I think after going through that, it kind of changed my mindset to, instead of approaching life from a mindset of, oh, I'm gonna go out and get all these things, I'm gonna have all this stuff happen to me, I kind of approach it like, that's kind of the goal. We'll see if it actually happens, but I'm just gonna be grateful for whatever blessings God gives me. Someone asked me, how did I start my blog? This is a great question. So my girlfriend, my best friend my entire life, she visited me for a week, I think almost 2 years ago. And I remember I was feeling kind of like, I had accomplished a lot of homemaking at that point. I was maybe interested in doing some freelance writing, and I kind of just ran the idea past her. I was like, what if I became a blogger? And she just kind of said, yeah, do it. Like, what's holding you back? Like, no one's reading your blog right now anyways, because you don't have one. So if you made one and no one read it, you're not really losing anything. So I was like, oh, she's right. And so I, started my blog that week, and it was a lot easier for me because I wasn't using personal social media at the time really at all. And so I just kind of popped on the internet and started up my blog, and I used my old Instagram account that had kind of been inactive, and I lost a lot of followers. I think I lost like 75% of people who followed me when I first started my blog. People I went to university with, people I went to high school with, a lot of them unfollowed my Instagram when I first started blogging, which, it is what it is. And that's one thing I want to say. If you're interested in starting a blog, being an influencer, being a YouTuber, you're gonna have to have a thick skin. I know that's really everyone says that, but it's those little things, like, your friends from college unfollowing you because they don't want to see your blog or they disagree with your standpoints, having trolls attack you, having people make fake Instagram accounts to harass you. Like, this stuff happens, and you're gonna have to have a thick skin. So I started the blog. People unfollowed me, and I was just on Instagram. I had less than 1,000 followers, and I just kind of would interact with other homemakers. I would like their pictures and comment and try to build community. And then, eventually I started my YouTube channel, and I think because of the controversial nature of what I was talking about, it picked up steam. Someone also asked, how did I get the courage to make YouTube videos? And I would kind of say, I wasn't too nervous because I only had 40 subscribers. It felt like a lot at the time. But I also, it was less followers than I had on Instagram, so I wasn't too nervous. But I also did grow up doing public speaking. I actually majored in strategic communications, which had an emphasis on public speaking. And so I've always been comfortable presenting ideas in front of a crowd. I love doing it. I'm very passionate about it. So it wasn't that scary to me to think of formulating ideas. I was more nervous about, the inevitable, someone's going to call me fat, someone's gonna say I'm ugly, someone's gonna say I'm mean, someone's gonna make a video about me, and all that stuff did happen. But I think even before I made my first video, I was like, this is gonna happen to me. Do I want that in my life? And I decided I'm okay with it, because to me, the more important goal was to spread the message that traditionalism was a positive lifestyle choice for women. And even if that meant people would make videos about me, even if that meant I would get trolls or, people who really hate me, I decided it was worth it, because I knew that as a homemaker for the past year at home, my beliefs were so crazy and everyone thought I was so weird. And so I knew going online that it was important to shed light on that situation. So I think that if you want to be a blogger, you have to have motivation. Just wanting to share links or just wanting to make money off something isn't a good motivation, because people will sense that. For me, that was never the goal. I was honestly surprised when I was able to monetize even my YouTube channel. So I think the best thing you can do is to have a real motivation, have a real message to send, have a real purpose for what you're doing. Are you a blogger because you want to share your life? Do you want to inspire people? What are you offering people? And so again, that's really important. You need to give value. Someone asked me IG accounts that I love to follow and YouTube channels that I love to follow. I have a couple blog posts about this that I'll also link below. Someone asked me if I have ever had an awkward phase, and absolutely. I feel like as a blonde, you can't help it, because I had big blonde caterpillar eyebrows. These things would be bleach blonde if I didn't dye them. As a blonde too, I have lighter eyelashes, and so I just looked like pink and blonde, like freckles, like no contrast on my face. And it took me a while to come into my body a little bit. I felt a little uncomfortable with my curves. I think awkward phases are so important because they let you, be a kid when you're a kid. I weep for the 12-year-old, 13-year-old TikTok generation that is just looking so sexy when they're kids. I played Barbies and Polly Pockets till I was 14. I did imaginary games till I was so old. My friends and I made silly videos. I lived when I was a kid in an Eeyore t-shirt, soccer shorts or cargos, and pink Chuck Taylors. I was totally dressing like a tomboy anytime I had the chance to dress myself. And that really just let me be a kid. And now I'm a woman, and I love being a woman. Someone asked me, how do I handle the negativity online? And the answer is, I don't handle it. I don't mind disagreements, criticism, but again, we talk about ladylike behavior on my channel, and if you're not gonna be a lady, if you're not gonna be elegant in the way you disagree, if you're gonna be really harsh or mean, or just kind of turn the environment in the comment section sour, then you get kicked out, because there's ways to disagree with people in a respectful and rational way. I also think people shouldn't watch content that they inherently disagree with. That's so weird to me. It's like they're just punishing themselves. If you hate my content, why are you here? Do you like it? Maybe they secretly like it. Like maybe the people who hate talking about how to act like a lady watch the content because they actually secretly want to know how to be a lady. Someone asked, how do you deal with people patronizing you for dressing femininely? So for example, you go to work in a nice dress and people are like, or they treat you like you're a dumb blonde or whatever. Think of Kate Middleton. Think of Catherine, Duchess of Sussex, even Amal Clooney or Grace Kelly, very feminine women who are also very intelligent. And the best thing is just don't deal with that patronizing behavior. Sometimes people behave that way because they're upset and jealous that you look amazing in your feminine clothing. And honestly, I feel kind of bad for people who get mad at how other people are dressed. Because what a sad way to live, and maybe they secretly wish they could dress more femininely like you. And so I would say show that you're intelligent, show that you're confident, and don't let them push you into a corner. I would never accept that treatment. You still can be a lady, you can still be sweet without letting people push you around. So if someone's being patronizing, like, oh, you look nice today, why'd you get all dressed up? Be like, you could say, because I feel amazing in this dress, and like just smile and walk away. And if you do it enough times, they'll know they can't push you around. So honestly, stand your ground. Don't shrink down when people are trying to be patronizing to you, but also don't assume that that's their intentions, because again, they might just be trying to tease you or be friendly. People are awkward. Humans are weird. They sometimes don't know how to relate with one another. So again, try not to infer someone's motivations, but if you know without a shadow of a doubt that they're being rude to you, don't stand for it. Show that you know what their little game is about and that you feel good about yourself and move on with life. Someone asked, how do you keep the spark lit in your marriage, romance-wise? And I would say laugh together, have fun together, do activities, but then also feel sexy on your own. I think it's really important for women in the comfort of our own homes to feel sexy. And so some people are very comfortable putting this out on the internet, and that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about in your marriage, learning how to seduce your husband, learning how to enjoy intimacy in the bedroom, learning how to communicate your needs, and also, you know, going the extra mile, getting a little dressed up if you want, the perfume, the clean hair, the whole 9 yards. That definitely keeps the spark lit, because when you're feeling sexy, you're gonna want to like flirt and be seductive and have fun, and I think that's such a key part to marriage. But that is all I have for you today. What a good note to leave it on, being sexy in your marriage. I've not really talked about that before, but keep the spark lit, ladies. Feel good about yourself. It'll go a long way. So thank you so much for watching. I know this was super long, but what else are we doing now that we're in quarantine? Like, meh. So check my links below. I know in the past I've been bad about putting up the links that I say I will, and I sincerely apologize if you've ever had that experience of me in a video saying, oh, the link is below, and the link is not below. I'm very sorry. One of my resolutions this year was to get better with that. If you're interested in my other Q&As, I try not to do much overlap with my questions in my Q&As, so you can watch a series of them and not feel like you're just repeating the same video over and over. I have a bunch of other Q&As on my channel. Feel free to watch them. Watch my vlogs if you're interested. I also am posting on my stories right now. I am posting a lot of recommendations on my written blog. Don't forget to check out my Spotify. Meet me over on Pinterest. But in general, I just hope you have a wonderfully blessed and, what shall we say, entertaining week, my beautiful sisters.